So with News and Amuse now coming to a conclusion,
okay,
we are going to move into a very unique topic, which we obviously have to talk about because Jen, for the first time, I would think since you've been on social media, really caught the wrath of, you want to say the K-Hive, the neoliberal
they don't like
contingency.
Me.
They don't really like Jen very
me.
much. They kind of kept it at arm's length, but
I feel like they kind of treat me how I feel like some people treat Tulsi for some reason.
Well, it's again,
like they just hate on me no matter what at this point.
No, there is no question that they're looking for a reason not to get along. So I would ask everybody in the audience right now, everybody here probably supports Medicare for all, or at the bare minimum supports universal health care, whatever it's going to take for us to get there. Do you really care how it gets here, as long as it gets here?
Right.
Because that's really what it's about. We are so desperate right now. You know, on average, we're losing 70,000 Americans every year.
We had the audacity to suggest, do you want...
This is coming up on the screen. I am going to let everybody see it. And I don't know any other way to describe it other than this is just a amusing statement of sorts. It's not.
Okay. So this went out and wait,
I can't.
Close that.
What am I closing?
Hit that. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the statement that was put out. Wouldn't it be great if Trump just decided to executive order Medicare for all before he leaves?
Crazy.
Now everybody with a little bit of common sense would probably say, wow, is that possible? Yes, it is possible.
It is possible.
It is by executive order in the lieu of a national emergency of health. You can implement a nationwide healthcare expansion. So in this case, you could expand Medicare to every citizen of the United States. Now, the neoliberal consultant class didn't like it.
No, because you cannot suggest that Trump do anything.
Well, first of all, you can't even suggest Medicare for all because that's Bernie's bill. You can't be supporting Bernie.
Things, but they just don't like that we would be even suggesting that not only Trump could do something that was positive, but that we would be supportive of it. Like they can't wrap their little tribal heads around this.
No, and for them, it's definitely...
So they were not liking that, but these are the same
people...
No,
actually, I know there were a lot of people who did like it, but again...
The K-Hive people.
No, it's not just that. There's always going to be somebody who's going to come on who is going to...
Do you have something particular you're looking for?
Yeah.
Because I don't need to be looking at the crown pictures.
No, I'm trying. Well, there was a lot of comments, so it's going to be hard to find it. I'm trying to get through it right now, but here's an example of what actually could happen. So I'm going to add this to the screen now for all of you guys to see. So this is very important. This is the article that basically will tell you, and it's in the American Prospect. Very, very important. So for those of you who need to understand why this is so vital and why it actually can happen, this is an opinion piece that came out. Well, we have it in Politico and in the American Prospect. So I'm going to show the American Prospect right now. And so for all of you that can see this, Biden can give everyone Medicare on his own. Okay, he won't do that. And you know what? Trump probably won't do it either. But that doesn't mean that it can't be done.
Exactly. And if that were the way to do it, look, again, these are the same people that wouldn't be happy if Trump pardoned Assange, even if they wanted Assange pardoned, because they don't want it to be Trump to do something. Like, that's how tribalistic these people are. Yeah. They cannot see past their own teams to see what's in the best interest of everybody. So yes, the point is, we opined that Trump could do an executive order instating Medicare for all. That was the suggestion, and it was really just, that's Amuse.
Yeah.
That's Amuse. We just, wouldn't that be lovely? If
I don't really care if, again, this is the thing about Trump. Right now he's pardoning really nefarious people, including Jared Kushner's father, who is a loathsome criminal, to say the least. But we cannot ignore the fact that if you have the opportunity to get him to do something good, that you do it. That is what Citizens Uprising is supposed to do. You are supposed to build these bridges. You are not supposed to be at odds with other people. You need to be able to make sure that they understand that this is very important. And so,
are we getting into?
So needless to say, one of the things that has been brought to our attention in Florida politics, and one of the reasons why we're not really able to do anything on the positive side here in the state, is because we have a very large political consultant class, and they make a lot of money.
Is that who this guy is?
Well, he is a political consultant, among other things.
Okay, because you're getting there very roundabout. We were sort of in the concept of it with the.
So that's what it's. So again, that's what it's like at the state level. Now we're talking about what happens at the federal level, at the tippy top, when you're dealing with the absolute biggest of the bad, if you will. And so the person that decided to comment, I think a lot of you who are in progressive media probably know who this guy is. He decided to jump on this thread and literally start a shitstorm. And we're talking about none other than Hoarse Whisperer.
So this is our bootlicker of the week. But
and boy, did he earn that title.
So the Hoarse Whisperer, who
hey, Mal.
Who is his persona? Like, what is his normal thing? Hey, Mallory. What is his, who is this guy? So who is the Hoarse Whisperer? I think for those that may not know, as I said, that's why there is a very large DC consulting class. And does he have some sort of throat issue as to why there's something that's like a funny play on words with being the Hoarse Whisperer?
I don't know, but he's going to be beating he's beating a dead horse coming after Jen. I can tell you that much.
Apparently this is some sort of neolib is what we're saying.
He's a very big neolib.
Okay.
He has been paid an exorbitant amount of money to work for the following organizations as a health care consultant, among other things. His clients include AT&T, Verizon, Hewlett-Packard, General Motors, BMW, Time Warner, Comcast, Pfizer, Abbott Labs, Bristol-Myers Squibb, Aetna, ADP, Avis, British Airways, Cisco, and many others.
Who he really is. Let's show who the Hoarse
I'm not gonna put his personal info. All right,
you don't have to put his personal information, but just you could say the name and
his name is Michael Goodnow. That's his name. And so this is the Hoarse Whisperer, guys. This is a neolib consultant person out there getting all against us with Medicare for all. We can't have that, not with his clientele. So what ultimately ends up happening with somebody like this, so when Jen puts out a message and then you have a subtweet from a guy who has a following that is, I kid you not, 7 times the size of Jen's, and is basically in that class, is in the consultant, neoliberal DC consultant class.
His brilliant commentary.
Yes. And so here's a man who lives in a very wealthy suburb of North Jersey. I happen to know where he lives, and I happen to know where he works. They get paid, and it's amazing how they're in the Democratic Party. Isn't that amazing?
Well, we don't have, it's not a Labor Party.
It's not a Labor Party.
It's a corporate party.
So it is a corporate party. And so you have this guy who gets paid a lot of money, and he goes online and basically does everything, every which way to smear the Bernie movement, to smear any type of a progressive uprising movement. And clearly
he took the time. He's 7 times bigger than me, and he took the time to point me out.
Correct. And that's
really nice.
Well, what I think it actually said, but you see, I think that your message actually scared some people because it actually took off. It's got close to, I think, 4,000 likes now. Wow. I mean, there's no question that when a message really starts getting to people, that scares them because they don't want us getting along with people on the other side. What's so hilarious
about it, though, is by him putting that out to his followers, he's linking his followers to us.
Yes.
So thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. What's his last name?
Goodnow.
Thank you, Michael Goodnow.
Good to know.
Good to know.
And so
thank you for the props.
And he is, and I have to say this because I pay way too much attention to the garbage people in politics. And Jason calls on here. He's like, yeah, Jason knows all about this.
Hi, Jason.
And so, if we were to make a list of the top 10 biggest douchebags in all of corporate consultant media. Well, we could have a series. But if we're being honest with ourselves, of the worst people, like the Hoarse Whisperer may not be at Neera Tanden's level, but he's not that far off. Like he's in the room.
So you know what we should do? We could have for New Year's, we could do like a countdown of the top bootlickers. We could do like a top 10 bootlicker countdown of the year for 2020. And have it be like a nice, homage to the level of bootlicking for the year.
There is no question, though, that if he felt the need to come on and make this statement,
I'll still never get to put my King Bootlicker below.
Well, let's
You're never letting me do that.
No, but let's look at it another way. Let's just say, for example, that you were wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
never wrong.
Oh, she's never wrong. Never tell a lady she's wrong, right? I don't know. But let's say that you were wrong. Let's say that there is actually no way for the chief executive to issue a national emergency and declare healthcare has to be a right of all people,
right?
Even if it's only for the pandemic. When they're talking about, well, you don't know how to pass a law. Yeah, again, it's not about that. You're in the middle of a pandemic, and let's just say at the end of the pandemic that now it is no longer a national emergency and they could take Medicare for all off the table. Do you really think if this country is able to have a few months of universal health care that they're going to give it away? No, they're not.
Can we go back to that they don't know how to pass a law? See, that's the thing that's really fascinating. See, Congress is supposed to be the power that declares war. But yet, ironically, since how long now? It's 20 years. How long since the Patriot Act?
The Patriot Act was
the AUMA, the Authorization for Use of Military Action.
Well, the Patriot Act, I think, was 2002 or 2003.
Yeah,
like right around there.
So whenever and that was right around the same time. So
right around the same time as the war in Iraq. Yeah, right around there.
So then, the president can unilaterally be at war with 8 countries without a congressional declaration of war, but the president can't issue health care for the people within our country. Yes, no, that's not how that works.
If he was, if it was at the bare minimum, was actually correct about it and was actually right by saying, well, actually, you're wrong. You can't do this. And he refers to you as this person. It's like,
well, they cannot name thou shalt who not be named. No. I kind of feel like, you know what? They're not worthy of saying my name at this point. And it's so funny because here in Broward, we went through an entire election cycle, almost 2 years, without anybody in the local party really even acknowledging that our race was happening. Like they didn't not only mention my name, but they didn't even mention that Debbie had a challenger. So we're very used to not being named. I don't mind, but what he did do is put a nice little link to my Twitter.
Which is always interesting. And you know what's funny is, and I checked it, it looks like you gained in excess of 200 additional followers because he decided, I think, to link you.
Really?
Which I think is really interesting.
No, that's awesome. So we should send him like a fruit basket.
I don't know how much 200 followers is actually worth.
I don't know, but I like it. I think it's worth like a little fruit basket.
No, because
sincerely, this person.
What's the saying goes? The truth bends towards justice, or
I don't know, but I'm telling you, we sent him. We need to send him something and sign it. This person.
Yeah, this person. But I got to tell you, I don't think he liked, because he doesn't list his name. So what I think is interesting. But
we know who you are.
Yeah, and I think when you referred to him as Mike, I think he's like, oh no, that definitely he didn't like that. He didn't like when you said his name. He's like, they're not supposed to know who I am.
Most people like it when I call them out by name.
Yeah, but you're not that. You see, you don't have that vitriol to go after him and be like, you freaking sellout, scummy.
No, here's the thing: is that this is the cool thing about being me.
Yeah,
is that when you're just like kind of real and honest and just be yourself and do your thing, people really can't call you out on shit.
It's
really, really easy. And so, like for me, people, if you want to try to find some skeletons on me, please have at it. Like, I wish that my life were more interesting. Like, there's just no there. So that's
I guess when Debbie felt that she didn't have anything to use against you, that the best thing that she could do was just say, hey, we'll just ghost her.
Well, okay, at least let's just say this. There's no evidence of any wrongdoing anywhere in existence because we didn't have cell phone cameras back in the day. So I'm good. Like I'm good. There's no evidence of any wrongdoing.
No, and I guess if they could have found something to use against you, they probably would have done it by now. So they're just kind of limited in terms of that.
I told you I had that whole professional search done of myself when we decided to do this, like just to make sure, like what could anybody find? It is the most boring thing ever. And all you could basically do, connect the dots of just the places I've lived and moved. That's the my entire history. And
it is somewhat, I mean, at this point, I just think that we really have to stick together. And that's what it's about. We have to continue to build these relationships because, again, if we were not a threat they wouldn't feel any need to come after her or after anybody else. The problem is that once he got involved and his hundreds of thousands of followers,
That's
he had
a win
hundreds,
for me.
yeah, but they had hundreds of people flowing in. Oh God, I tell you, you know why we need Medicare for all? Because of all the mental health, the mental anguish that people have to deal with social media all day long.
Thanks,
you all need to be going and speaking to a mental health professional. That would be good for everybody. Because that's really, what I think everybody needs, quite frankly. We need universal health care for everything, but especially for the ability to go speak to a shrink.
We do. We really need that. Yeah.
If you guys haven't hit the like button, hit it now. Share, subscribe. Make sure everybody's watching, especially on Facebook and YouTube. YouTube especially. YouTube is the most important place. We are almost at 1,500 subscribers. Can you believe it? This little show.
And the other thing that we have to keep reminding people is when you watch the videos, you got to just let it play. Let them play. Even if you feel a little bored and you got to step away. If you have the ability to let it play because we actually get watch hours, amount of hours that are clocked watching. And we need to reach, 4,000?
4,000 watch hours. That's where we're at. Yeah.
Before we can do super chats and start bringing in some money. So that's kind of where we are. So we could definitely use, if you're going to put on the video, let it watch. Just let it go.
Yeah. And so again, I am cautiously. I try to
be as interesting as possible for as long as I can.
Well, we are. I mean, I think we do a pretty good job for a 2-man show.
Like an interview. Well, no, but even on the interview, even on our interviews, right? Like it isn't only on the lives; it's on anything.
No, and again, there is this need to continue the conversation because all too often after the election, everybody just kind of goes away, and we know that Biden is not going to play ball. Again,
so far there have been 2 or maybe 3 good cabinet picks.
Well, he did make a very, I didn't add that to the story today. And since our wonderful guest, Jordan Chariton, is running a little late, he's actually on another show. He'll be here in a few minutes. We can talk about one final story, which I thought was very good today. Joe Biden did actually make a second very good pick for his cabinet. Deb Haaland for Secretary of the Interior is definitely the one pick he's made so far that we can all universally agree was very good. Marcia Fudge for Deb Haaland. And now he has picked Miguel Cardona to be the new Secretary of Education. Yeah. Now, I think we can all agree.
This is from Connecticut.
The lowest bar that you could possibly have. Oh. We have always agreed. I think universally, everyone would agree. The worst appointment of the Trump administration by far was Betsy DeVos, Secretary of Education.
The worst.
I mean,
she did the most damage in the least amount of time.
Oh my God.
Terrible. Absolutely horrible. She needs to go far away. So, but this guy, he's what, the head of the education department in, I think, Connecticut.
Yes.
He's Connecticut.
No, he's done, look, I've read his bio. He's got a lot of good stuff on his record. He is not against charter schools, but he's not an advocate for them either.
It's as good as it's going to get.
Yeah, right now, that's all you can hope for if his focus is going to be on public education funding. And I've told a lot of people this, regardless of what you think of Andrew Gillum, the one thing he absolutely unequivocally would have been much better on in the state of Florida compared to Ron DeSantis, he would have been infinitely better on education. Yeah. He had the teachers behind him. He was advocating for higher wages.
He would have, but DeSantis.
And on the Democratic side, that is one thing you can say. When it comes to public education, they are absolutely better than Republicans. No one is going to dispute that. And the fact that you're now bringing in somebody who is not only going to be better than Betsy DeVos, he may be a lot better. And that's what we need right now. Yeah. You got to take your wins where you can get them and build on them.
What are they all talking about him? Do you know what they're all talking about him? That he'll be the first Puerto Rican in the cabinet. That's what they're focusing on. That's what they're talking about. That's what matters to them.
Yeah. And you know what? Let them have, again,
about his policy.
Let them have their identity politics. We'll have the policies. And as long as his policies are good, wonderful. And if he happens to be Latino, that's fine too.
Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
I don't care. You know what? I'm not even saying Latino anymore because a lot of people don't like it.
No.
And you know what? Why would people like that?
Well, look at how many people who were Latino voted for Trump. Look at how many people who were Black voted for Trump.
This time, like even the term Latino.
No, it's but again,
it's
identity.
It's so like monolithic.
But you know what? Identity politics is becoming the last bastion that they've got.
It's frustrating because
they don't have anything else.
Like I'm all great with there being. How is that legal? Yeah, how is that legal? How is that
exactly
legal? How is it legal that Dick Cheney was getting like stock benefits from Halliburton while we were in a war for profit? How is that ever possible? But
Yeah.
And then didn't get prosecuted for it. So I've given, you know, at this point, that revolving door between our military industrial complex and our government, it's obscene.
No, it is obscene.
And it isn't just that industry, but I think that's hands down the worst. Hands down the worst.
And again, we plea with people who, let's say, supported Trump. He didn't drain the swamp. He had his own swamp.
Yeah.
And now the people that were in the swamp before Trump got there are all coming back in.
It's very simple. If people are doing things with a profit motive that is not in the best interest of the collective of us, right? Then that's the swamp. Then they're feeding their own swamp. It doesn't matter. So, you know, if it's whether, I mean, look, Debbie takes money from Honeywell. And I mean, she takes money from the military industrial complex. So, you know, well, she's also very hawkish. So that at least
that's putting it nicely.
Money at least coincides with her ethos. But yeah, I mean, this is a serious problem.
Yeah, no, there's no question that, you know, Wasserman Schultz is, you know, we can talk for hours on end about how bad she is. But one thing we do have to mention.
This is not good.
Yeah, one thing we have to mention is the fact that this particular stimulus bill that Trump did veto. So you can't really say, well, you know, woulda, shoulda, coulda. But the truth of the matter is it was 5,500 pages long. First of all, you know, they've been writing that bill for the past how many months? 6, 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
They've been writing this. And Wasserman Schultz votes yes on the bill that they don't even know what's in it. This is remember when they passed Obamacare, Nancy Pelosi, we have to pass it before we know what's in it.
They always do that. But look, none of them read the Patriot Act and they signed away our constitutional rights. They signed away our 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment rights, and they didn't even read it. They didn't even read it. So no, they don't read things. They don't read things.
And everything is a slow drip. You know, you can't look back at Reagan's tax cuts and know at that exact moment how things were going to completely, you know, create the wealth gap that was really, you know, becoming a really big problem in lieu of everything that transpired post Kennedy's assassination, going into, you know, Southeast Asia, and then obviously the major energy crisis that took place in the late 70s. So then Reagan gets in, does the massive tax cuts, and what I always point to is the top marginal tax rate was 72% leading up to Reagan.
He even knew that he had to raise the marginal tax rate. I mean, well, it's capitalism can only survive if there are consumers.
That's true.
This is not rocket science.
No.
It really isn't that complicated. So if people don't have money to consume, then eventually capitalism ceases to exist.
You do all the tax cuts. Then you go to another war under Bush. Then you bring Clinton in and you do every form of deregulation known to man.
Wow.
Then you bring Bush in and you get involved in 2 ridiculous wars. Then you bring in Obama, get involved in even more wars. And now you bring Trump in.
But
and
they're
he doesn't.
Drone wars. They're not boots on the ground.
So that makes it better, I guess, right? Only in the drone wars,
he was our first black
person. Is it 90%? It's like a 90% kill rate of civilians with the drones. It's so, again.
And right now, like watching him we can't go there about him right now because I feel like it's not going to serve me to go off on him. But I'm like, I have some serious.
No, Obama's selling a book right now, and Trump is selling a BS idea that we're somehow, you know.
I'm so displeased.
You know, and again, it's so
biggest disappointment. Biggest disappointment.
And we're in an even bigger disappointment now because we know that we're going to be heading for 4 years at a minimum of this endless stagnation, which is why over time, we really need to be making a concerted effort to reach out to as many people as possible. For those of you who have not seen Jen's podcast with Tim Pool, I highly recommend you check it out. There were over 500,000 people that saw that podcast. Now, granted, a lot of them do support Trump, but a significant amount of them are actually progressive Democrat. And
you have to go to Tim Pool's page to see it.
Which is fine. And again, it's a long podcast, but a lot of clips are thrown in. You know, and well, yeah, we'll put that up for you, Mal. And again, the importance of speaking to Tim Pool.
I'd be satisfied with a Julian Assange.
And I got to tell you guys, because I was there, and let me tell you, the comments from the really hardcore psycho Trump supporters, it was bad. It was bad to the point in which some of Jen's friends were watching and be like, "I can't take this. I gotta say something."
I think I got called Karen probably.
Yeah, they were calling Jen Karen. I'm like, oh my God, you guys really don't know how bad it is on the Democratic side if you think she's a Karen.
I'm Karen.
They have no idea what they're missing on. That's, you know, like I can't speak to that. So, But the reality is a lot of people really liked her message. And we got 400 new subscribers to the channel.
Yet we still, of course, got crap.
Yeah.
Because people really don't want to build bridges and build coalitions. They want to stay in their little teams. People like tribalism.
Well, I think,
and that's the hardest part of what we're doing. It isn't even policy. At this point, the hardest part of what we're doing is just getting everybody to just make nice enough so that we can have nice things, because it's like everybody's just fighting over every little thing. And that's why nothing can get done.
Case in point about the fact that you suggested that Trump passed an executive order to give everybody Medicare. And it's like,
how dare you do that?
You have to do whatever you can in order to get it, which is also why force the vote has become a huge talking point, because the progressives do have leverage right now with Pelosi's speakership. And everyone's like, oh, well, it's a good idea, but that's not how you should do it. No, you have to treat politics like it's a blood sport.
It is, but see, they keep trying to make friends and they can't.
It
seems like they're not realizing that no matter what they do, these people aren't going to like them. I would like to also say Ryan, yes, Trump is an 80s Democrat.
Yeah.
And M. Spence, we know Tim Pool he's friends with Joe Rogan.
Yes.
So they're actually,
He's friends with a lot of important people. And again, stop.
Can you not say important people?
Well, known people.
Thank you.
Okay. He's a totally important person. But anyway, the point is you have to reach out. You have to build these relationships, because I'm telling you, a significant portion of Trump's base are working class people. Are a lot of them bigoted, angry? Yeah, they are. Because guess what? Our country sucks right now, and they don't know who the hell to point the finger at. And for a lot of them, they're not well educated. They live in rural parts of the country, and they have no one who gives a damn about them. They don't. So we have to find a way to build those relationships. And if Jen can be that arbiter of being able to do that, wonderful. I think Andrew Yang's an arbiter of doing that.
A lot of the Trumpy people have liked me, other than the hostiles on the Tim Pool show.
Yeah, you're always going
to. First of all, I have a certain image in my head of the kind of people that those are. And I know it's probably like a very stereotypical thing, so I'm not going to get into that. But I think also
people really like me. They really think I'm incredible. They totally think I'm really incredible.
Live in an echo chamber, and in a way that it's like I'm just such an outsider. I mean, I can't see how anything I said was so particularly offensive. So they'd already decided not to like me because
I would say the biggest reason they did. What was the biggest reason they didn't like you? What was the number one reason that the majority of the people who were dissenting didn't like you on Tim Pool's show?
What was it? I don't even remember.
You voted for Biden.
Oh, that I voted for Joe Biden.
So the fact that she voted for Biden was oh my God, so how you see you're just the cause of the problem. Well, again, if you want to change it, for those people who are actually convinced, poorly, I might add, that Trump actually had the election stolen from him. The only person who had an election stolen from them in this country is Bernie Sanders, and it happened twice. So as far as I'm concerned, if you are really concerned about election integrity, there are two things that you can do, and I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Ranked choice voting and hand-marked paper ballots.
I mean, that's ultimately what we really need to do. And it's one of those things that, again, there needs to not be a profit motive in. This is a function of our republic. It's always been really weird to me that private clubs, and yes, the DNC and the Republican Party, these are private clubs, and they control our electoral process. It never really seemed right to me. But so then you add on top of that there's this profit motive in the machines that they use and in the mechanisms that they employ. So forget that it makes it easier to cheat and hard to track and all that.
Yeah.
There's a profit motive in that system. So whenever there's a profit motive, you got to be somewhat suspect. And to me, the mechanism that is the basis of our republic should not be linked to a profit motive.
No,
just for me. And I'm not saying that I'm not a communist. I'm not even a socialist, but I think a function of our republic should be independent of profit and independent of party. And that's really where I'm at. So the whole concept to me that these private clubs control our elections is absurd. It's just absurd. And I know they do it with but they control the primary. Yes, well, you control the primary, but then you have states that are closed primary states. So essentially, unless you're in the club, you don't get to even participate in the primary, which I still question the constitutionality of that. I always have. I have since
well, that's one thing.
That's weird.
That's definitely one thing that Jordan is going to talk about is the fact that with what has actually transpired, with what actually happened in the Iowa caucus, there is talk, and there should be lawsuits brought about the DNC relinquishing any power that they have over the primary process, and that is why it needs to happen.
Yeah,
because it's a private organization, and these are supposed to be public elections. If we could get to publicly funded elections, that would be lovely. I mean, and that's again, we're fighting for that.
But that's really the problem. I mean, and even on our countywide level, the fact that our supervisor of elections is a partisan position is very strange to me.
Yeah.
And we happen to have a SOE that I think was right now that's coming in, Joe Scott. I think he's fine. I think he'll do a great job. I have no issue with him whatsoever. I just don't think that should be a partisan position anymore, that I think that the private clubs of the Democrats and Republicans should be controlling our process. It just doesn't, it just doesn't seem kosher to me.
Well, that's also what ultimately ends up happening, which I still insist. Now, Jen will tell you that the local Democratic clubs are really feckless in a lot of ways, especially because of the age that is being run by. No ageism here, but it's, we have to recognize that people have been doing this for a long, long time.
And quite honestly, it's so.
And a number of them have been protecting Wasserman Schultz for decades. So we all know that that's part of the problem.
But it's not entirely that, because then you're ignoring the fact that like the young Dems here are basically the same.
Well, they're all waiting. They're trying to get their job. So they're doing the walking. They're playing the game, as they say. But I will say this, and I'm not going to name any names, but we have a friend who is also attempting to run for office here. And and one of the people that works with them attempted to reach out to one of the local clubs to see if they could speak. And when they found out who that person is running against, they basically told them to piss off. So we've got a lot to work on, a lot to do.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.